What's up, everybody? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and in this episode, we're going to first talk about Jeff Bezos, and I'm going to make fun of him a little bit, and he went to space and everything, so we'll cover that, and I'm going to tease him relentlessly. And then we're going to talk about another shitty thing that happened, which is basically Biden's $3.5 trillion infrastructure deal, which, if it passed today in its current form, would not be shitty. It would be awesome, actually, or is certainly for Biden anyway. But it's going to get whittled down, and I got some bad news. It's not going to be in anything like the current form it's in when Joe Manchin gets done with it, and I'm going to tell you what he's doing to block it and what we can do. Okay, so let's start off with the fucking, Bond villain, Jeff Bezos. He went to space for like 10 minutes with his own rocket ship that we paid for. Remember, he got like an enormous grant from the government. Blue Origins did. It was something like $10 billion or multiple billions of dollars. Same thing with SpaceX. They both got government grants for this shit. And then they both gone to space, but Jeff Bezos didn't go to real space. He went to lower orbit, which means he just went up high enough so that they were like boosting fast enough in the upper atmosphere to outrun gravity, so he didn't really go to space. But I know what you're thinking. Like me, fuck, I was really hoping that something would go wrong up there. I was out in my yard, like, looking into a telescope or with a pair of binoculars, man, like Trump looking into the eclipse, like, where the fuck is that Blue Origin explosion? I want to see Jeff Bezos on fire as he re-enters the atmosphere. But we didn't get lucky. No hoses started to leak. There was no gas explosion or, breakdown. So maybe we'll get lucky next time. They're going to keep going to space. So I'm going to read to you here from ABC News, kind of recapping everything, and it's hilarious. I'm going to end on an actual quote that Bezos says. There's a little bit of like an argument going on out there about whether or not the billionaires are doing this because it's like a PR stunt, they just want money, or if it's like the billionaires are actually trying to develop tech so that they can actually escape the planet, a la Elysium, and like go to their own, space hotel, or go to another, can you imagine Trump hotel in space, or Musk building a Mars base that's like a haven for exiled billionaires that can no longer live on Earth. Now, I kind of jokingly agree with those second people, but at some point, that's going to become reality, because if we keep going down this road, the billionaires are not going to be safe on Earth anymore. So I kind of joke that Elon Musk is going up there first. He's going to like colonize Mars, but you have to be a billionaire to live there, and they'll just fuck off to Mars to leave us here to die with our destroyed planet that they destroyed when they fucked off with all the money. So I always joke that that's what's going to go on. But this quote at the end of this kind of seems like to hint that that's what Bezos and Musk are actually planning. So this is funny, guys, y'all. Listen to this. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos blasted to the edge of space and spent a few minutes outside Earth's atmosphere Tuesday on the first crewed flight from his firm Blue Origin. An elated Bezos could be heard calling, "It's the best day ever!" after landing back on Earth. The milestone launch in the modern commercial space race comes on the 52nd anniversary of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin's moon landing in 1969, though the spacefaring landscape has evolved by giant leaps since then as billionaires emerge as key players driving the new race into the cosmos. Oh God. I hate how these like ABC News, I hate how they write. The one in New York Times was even worse, but I couldn't read it for very long because then they throw up a block because you have to pay to read the New York Times, so I didn't read that one all the way through. Bezos, who holds the title of richest man in the world per Bloomberg data, has said that the space flight will fulfill a lifelong dream, and he is also curious about how it will change him. I'll tell you how it's going to change him. He's going to invest way more money into now building his own space hotel that he can fuck off to, so he doesn't have to go live at Musk's space hotel on Mars. Bezos revealed what the astronauts spoke about as they were in the capsule ahead of the launch, saying he told his crewmates that the flight is just not about adventure, but also about the start of something quote-unquote big. What we're doing, quote, what we're doing is the first step of something big, and I know what that feels like. I did it nearly 3 decades ago, with Amazon, Bezos said. Big things start small, but you can tell when you're onto something, and this is important. And here's the quote that I'm telling you guys about. This is so funny. Listen to this. We're going to build a road to space so that our kids and their kids can build the future, and we need to do that we need to do that to solve the problems here on Earth. This is not about escaping Earth. So he like realizes halfway through the first sentence that he's like giving away the game, that he's like, yeah, this is about my kids and all the rich kids, and we're gonna go to space, and isn't this great about it's about your poor kids as well, and this is not about escaping Earth. So I think he's fucking off to Mars with all the rest of his billionaire buddies. They have no intention of staying here for very long, and that's what this is all really about. They dress it up as a PR stunt, and of course they make money, so that, you know, as a PR stunt, it actually helps them further their cause to escape the planet. But y'all, I said it was going to be like Elysium, that movie with Matt Damon, where they all fuck off to their like space station and only elites live there, and they have like perfect health care, and everybody else is just left here to rot. That's kind of where it's going to be. And I predicted that the next thing that would happen right after that, like a decade down the line, would be like Mad Max. And lo and behold, let's change gears and go to Biden's $3.5 trillion plan. The climate provisions in here are 1/3 or less of what we need to reach our goal to make sure that we don't become Mad Max. It's $3.5 trillion. Estimations say that we need at least $10 trillion over 10 years to combat climate change and update our infrastructure accordingly. So, like I said, this is like if you need a touchdown to win the game, Biden doesn't even get you to the 35-yard line. So not even within field goal range. So, like, this is so not enough that it's actually laughable. But considering it's Biden and he's like a D- president, this is like a D+ effort. That's the way I'm going to put it. So what's in it? Some good things. Medicare expansion to include optical, dental, and hearing aids for the elderly. Now, there is no lowering of the Medicare eligibility age, that's the minimum he could have fucking done. That's what Bernie promised that he would do, is he said, if you vote for Joe, I can guarantee you that he's going to get you down to something like 60 or 55. Bullshit. Everything's a quarter measure of a quarter measure with these fuckers. So this is the least they can do, and this probably, it might stick. It might stick. Universal pre-K, great for 3 and 4-year-olds, probably won't stick. Expansion of, a free community college. Again, that would be great. I don't think it's going to stick. The Manchin and Sinema won't allow it, because this one's going through budget reconciliation. You got to get those blue dog Democrats on board, and they're the ones blocking it. And then continuation of the child tax credit. I don't know if that will stick or not. That would be cool, but methinks it probably will not. Or it'll be highly reduced to what it is right now. So this one only lasts a year. This goes beyond a year. That would be great. There's some other things in there, like the climate legislation. I'm just going to real briefly read what's in it. Create 80% clean energy and 50% economy-wide carbon emissions by 2030. Again, it has to be 100% minimum by 2030. Otherwise, we're fucked. That's what the engineers are saying. So this is like, even the goals set forth in the original bid, which is this $3.5 trillion bill, it's going to be whittled down to maybe like 1.5 trillion, something like that, is woefully inadequate, even in its aspirations. So that's why it drives me crazy. And this is why did we put Biden in there? Why did we vote blue no matter who? I mean, Biden is not even, he's aiming to get to the 35-yard line when we need a touchdown, and he's going to probably get to the 15 or 20-yard line. Barely out of the his own fucking red zone. And he might fumble it, and it might get picked up in our own end zone, and they score a whole bunch of fucking points against us, because there's a whole bunch of tax breaks for corporations in the Republican version of the bill, which we have to pass the budget reconciliation portion of the bill. So there's a football metaphor for you, Ryan Grimm. That's how it's done. And then more funding for the clean energy standard, clean energy and vehicle tax incentives, and a climate-smart agriculture, wildfire prevention, federal procurement of clean technologies, and the weatherization of electrification of buildings. So it doesn't really matter, because all these climate provisions are going to be stripped out. All of them. They're the first things to go, because and to bring it full circle here, guys, Manchin has said that he will not vote for anything unless we pay for it up front and we can't up the corporate tax rate. That's a handcuff. There's no way to do it. Actually, I do have a way to do it, and I'm gonna tell you guys how. He doesn't want to. They're deficit hawking. They want to pay for everything up front, and it costs $3.5 trillion or $350 billion a year for like a decade, something like that, right? So that's a handcuff. He's making it so that if he stays staunch on those two things, we could do like a top marginal tax rate that is super high, but that's not going to raise the amount of money. You have to up the corporate tax rate, basically, or as far as he knows, to pay for this up front. Now, they're using the inflation argument, which is bullshit. We already know inflation isn't a big deal according to modern monetary theory, but also I'll give you evidence. The Fed pumped over $3 trillion in 3 days into the banks to keep the system from collapsing when COVID first hit. You remember when Trump did that? Did that cause any type of inflation, just printing money and throwing it into all of the financial institutions? Fuck no, it didn't. This country has its own sovereign currency. We don't have to worry about inflation. We have the resources to do these things, so we can pay for these things, and we don't have to pay for it up front. But since Joe Manchin is insisting that we have to pay for it up front and not upping the corporate tax rate, here's how you do it. You pass Ro Khanna's Stop Cheaters Act in its entirety, include it. That closes all the tax loopholes and re-audits all of the wealthiest CEOs in the country. It's supposed to create about $120 billion a year for the next 10 years. And Bob's your uncle, you're about halfway there. The rest of it, so it's like, what do you need? What do you need? You need another 200 billion, 230 billion. I did the math on that. It's 230 billion extra. You cut the military budget by 30%, 29% actually. You cut the military budget 29%, and you do the Stop Cheaters Act in this budget reconciliation bill, all paid for. Don't have to take it down a dime. You can pay for it right now. But Joe Manchin doesn't want to cut the military budget. Those are some of his biggest donors. So like, but that's what I would do, is I would just push back, since his statements have been, you can't up the corporate tax rate, basically, can't up taxes on the rich, and you can't, we have to pay for it up front. Be like, fine, okay. Stop Cheaters Act just closes the wealth gap, closes all the tax loopholes for all the people who are cheating the system, which that's similar to what Kennedy did. He closed the tax loopholes instead of actually upping the tax rates. And then you cut the military budget, 29%, and you can do it. But Joe Manchin isn't going to do that. He's just going to stonewall this entirely. He'll strip out everything he wants because Joe Biden is unwilling to tell him to, get in line, bucko, or I'm ruining your career. And he's unwilling also, Biden is, to overrule the parliamentarians. So that's why we can't have nice things. That's why the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill will, while nice on face value, all the nice stuff that I just told you, that's all going to get stripped out. The only thing that maybe will stick is like a version of the child tax credit, maybe, and I could see maybe the Medicare expansion to include hearing aids, dental. Like, Joe Biden has to do some sort of Medicare expansion. He's going to get killed for re-election. He wants something that he'll be able to stand on. So he doesn't want to lower the Medicare eligibility age. He doesn't want to do a public option. He doesn't want to do Medicare for all, no nationalized healthcare system. But since he's so anemic and doesn't want to do any of those things, even the least, which is dropping it down to age 60 from 65, he'll just do the dental and the optical, and that'll be like he'll do a fucking victory lap around the fucking globe for that. And I would like to see that happen, but it's nowhere near enough. But that might stick, is what I'm saying. So, in synopsis, billionaires are in fact going to space, which is kind of like Elysium. And like I said, step 2 is Mad Max. And seeing as Joe Biden is about to allow all of the climate change provisions to be stripped out of the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill by Joe Manchin, in about 10 years, we're all going to be driving through fucking deserts. There's gonna be wildfires everywhere, extreme weather events, and we can all thank people who voted for Joe Biden and who voted for Joe Manchin, because we knew that's exactly what these fuckers were gonna do. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I hope we can tree stump Joe Manchin into getting on board with this. Like I said, I'll talk to you later.